Alexa, turn on garage light. Alexa, turn off garage light. Now that's pretty damn cool. So it's been about 3 weeks since I installed the PX6 Tesla style head unit that I purchased from Phoenix Automotive. And I've waited to do the review and walkthrough until I had a chance to familiarize myself with the unit, tweak it up the way I wanted, install some apps that we'll walk through in just a minute, and buy some accessories that I'll show you. One of those that you just heard me talking to, and that was the Echo Auto. Now, what I plan to do is we're going to do this initial review and walkthrough, and then I'm going to do a secondary video focusing on audio streaming apps and audio apps in general, and then a third one on video streaming apps and video apps in general. Now, keep in mind that this is a 2015 F150 Platinum, and it came equipped with Sync 2. Now, the Sync 2 did come with navigation and Sirius XM, but it did not come with Android Auto or Apple CarPlay. And that was one of the major reasons I wanted to do the upgrade, but there are several others which we'll get into. Now, one of the other accessories that I purchased for this is a Harman Spark OBDI cellular Wi-Fi adapter on AT&T service. Now, this is really important for anybody considering this unit, is that the unit itself doesn't have any data service. It doesn't have a SIM card for a cellular data card. So that has got to be provided. The easiest way is to turn the hotspot on your phone and attach it via Wi-Fi. Unfortunately, I'm on Sprint and I get very spotty coverage. My wife and I took about a 100-mile trip couple weeks ago. I was in and out of service, and of course Bluetooth audio stuttering. My maps said that it had no connection. Even though I could see where I was going, I didn't get real-time traffic, etc. I also tried a cheap Wi-Fi hotspot, and it had Verizon service. And I just plugged it in the AC 110 volt, and again, just did not have very good luck with the throughput that I was getting on it. Now, with the Harman Spark on AT&T, again, it's plugged into the OBDI port. I consistently get great speeds. I'm sitting in my driveway, and my house is in a valley, and we just historically get very bad service from any provider here, and I can easily pull down 3 or 4 megs, which is adequate. But when I get out of this valley and get into a populated area, or even on some back roads, I'm consistently at 10 megabits. So I'm very happy with this. Another thing that this does for me is that when I get in the car and turn the car on, it turns on. I have Wi-Fi. I don't have to mess around with turning the Wi-Fi hotspot on my phone. Now, this unit I purchased for $79.95, and I'm on the unlimited data plan of, or unlimited data, and I don't know when they start. You know, I don't know how much you get on their 4G data until they start throttling you, but we'll find that out, and I'll update you when I see the figures, because you can actually see how much data that you're using. But that was one of the really appealing things to me. Turn your car on, the unit attaches automatically, and off you go. I also put in a OBDI Y cable, because I'm powering my dash cam off of that So I've actually, when I turn on my car, I get not only the dash cam turned on, but I get my Harman Spark powered up as well. Now, the other thing that I did is that when you go to install your unit, you'll see that there's two USB cables. And they're in the same spot on the back of the unit. One goes to the passenger side, one goes to the driver's side. Well, I didn't want those just dangling around, so I drilled a hole down there and on the other side and put in a USB pass-through. I couldn't get my hand in there to actually tighten the retaining nut, so I used a little CA glue, and it's on there very good. Now, the thing to remember is that the way that this unit operates with both Apple CarPlay and Android Auto is this little program called Z-Link. So once you plug in your phone, it'll say waiting, and I will go through this during the review. But the thing to keep in mind is that only one of the USB cables on the back of the unit is OSB OTG. So the other one does not work with the Z-Link application. The one that does work is when you install the unit, it's going to be the one on the left side of the unit that would go to the driver's side to be installed. So that might be a little helpful hint for you when you get ready to do your install. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to position, I'm sorry about the terrible glare, hopefully when I mount my phone so that I can have both hands free, we'll get rid of some of that glare. So that's what I'm going to do is I'm going to mount the phone, and then we're going to go through a review and walkthrough of the unit. Okay, before I mount my camera, I want to show boot up time. That's a frequently asked question. The easiest way for me to do this is just to reset the unit. So bear with me, I need 3 hands, and this reset button can be a little finicky to get to. So all right, we got it. All right, so I'm going to start the timer. Now it's going to go through a soft reset. We've got our boot up screen. Then we're going to come to the Android logo. We're at 14 seconds. And that'll boot up to the home screen of the unit itself. So about 23 seconds, and that's pretty typical. I've had it run 30 seconds or even a quicker time of 20 seconds. But and the one thing to keep in mind is this is not a hard reset. This is a soft reset. One of the ways that you can tell this is if you look at apps in the background, they have they're still active. Okay, so I have my camera mounted, and I can't see what I'm doing, so hopefully once I go into take these files off my phone, it'll actually make some sense to me too. And forgive me, I'm not going to do any editing on this video. I'm just going to run through this, so you're going to have to put up with my faux pas as I go along. I want to get this published, and I don't want to spend a week trying to edit this video out. So this is the Tesla style PX6 home screen, and that is what the home button is for. It's going to take you to this every single time. This is their version of a launcher. It looks very nice, but it's not utilitarian at all. It doesn't do anything for you. It gives you a calendar and shows you the present date, and it's got some cool graphics here that you can scroll through. But besides that, there's nothing useful about this whatsoever. Then at the top, you do have your other row of buttons. that are, let's call them quick launch buttons. And at the bottom, we're going to have your climate controls. Now, these are static. The quick launch and the climate controls will never go away. They're hard coded into the system. But this, what they're calling their home screen, is actually a launcher. So if we want to launch something, that's why we've got these top buttons here. And if we want to go to the console or the Sync 2, here's what you get. And just for comparison, you can see that they've decreased the DPI and the screen resolution. They've squished it down a bit. Here's the original Sync 2 unit. They've done that for split screen purposes. Obviously, this would normally have my RPMs and my miles per hour if I was driving, but I'm sitting in the driveway. I find that most of the top buttons up here are useless to me. I'd love to have a way to be able to edit these, delete them, reassign them, rearrange them. Again, there's just not a lot up there that I'm using on a daily basis besides a couple of them. And that would be, let's go over here, navigation. This is a quick navigation. This is going to pull Waze up. And then we can go back to the console, hit that, car auto, and we'll go into this a little later. This is their software along with the USB OTG cable that's going to hook up and give you Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. And the other one is Explorer. And voila, I've obviously got Google Chrome loaded on there because you can assign a different launcher. We'll go into settings in just a second and I can show you that. So let's go back to the console. All right. There's always this question about what am I going to lose or what am I not going to get when I install this. You're going to retain every single function that you ever had with the Sync 2. And we'll just run through them very quickly here, okay? I'm going to show you camera settings. I have 360 camera settings. There's my wife. Going through here. And then we'll start this up. And there's my reverse. And you can go to the other view of that if you'd like to. But again, you're not losing any functions whatsoever with the Sync 2. Open doors, etc. So that shouldn't be an issue for anybody. Now, obviously, because they've scrunched this down, you can see if you want everything looks a little smaller, and I don't know what the word for it is, but graphically it's not as nice as you had beforehand. And here's one of my major issues with the Sync 2 system is we have these 4 quadrants here. And if I want to get to one of these quadrants, especially if I'm looking at navigation, I have to be able to hit these 4 little buttons. While I'm driving down the road in town, on the highway, etc., and the vehicle's bouncing around, to be able to accurately do that can be a little bit of a pain in the ass. So that was one of the reasons why I wanted the PX6 unit, not only for the larger screen, but for some of the other capabilities that it brought to me. So let's go into settings here. We'll just go down the list, okay? Customize doesn't do anything except for the fact that you can, it says app customize, but you really can't do anything except customize your in Explorer. I've got Chrome, and in let's see what else here. And in maps or navigation, I have Waze. And those are the two things I found you can set, and I really didn't want to play around with anything else. Now, I'm not going to go through this completely, and because just for the sake of time. So what I would recommend that you do is to go to the Phoenix Auto website. They actually do have a very good website that lays things out, and it goes through these settings, and I've got these web pages pulled up right here. This is, I've got the PX3. Let me go over here. Let me back up. System info. It doesn't tell you what it does, but it shows you a screenshot, and it shows you the password on how to get into these. Again, no good explanation. And this came down to the fact that, you know, I'm not messing with this. Once I get the unit set up, there was no changes that I had to make. So if someone has more information on these user settings, please chime in, leave a comment, leave a post on one of the forums, because I'd love to be able to see if there's something that we can do with these user settings. Okay, so I'm going to pause for just a second. Okay, so back to the top row of icons. We've already touched on Explore. Now, Phone Link, and we'll show this a little later, this is basically a way to mirror your Android or iPhone. App List, this is their version of an app list that you would find on a Google phone, or I should say a phone that's running the Google operating system, Android, or a tablet. And everything that is installed is shown here. They have a quirky little file manager. These are pretty self-explanatory, and there's really no reason to mess with these things. The light setting is your ambient light. Now, there are other ways to get to that, and that's through the settings in your console itself. Settings is, we were just there, okay? GPS monitor, this is the antenna. This is the installed antenna that came with the unit. Language, equalizer. Now, the equalizer does actually work if you're using the unit itself and not the sync unit. So we'll get into that a little later. There's your dimmer. Some people have asked questions, but it does automatically change from day and night. Wheel settings, I've never messed around with that because everything works. System info, reset, region key, touch key. And again, I have a feeling that this is got to do with maybe a third-party add-on that you can put on your steering wheel for steering wheel control. Boot logo, you can actually change the boot logo on it. I really don't care. More settings is always going to take you to the actual Android operating system, just like you would have on your phone or a tablet. There, I'm not going to go into an explanation of this. This is what it is, so you ought to be very familiar with it. DVR is their add-on in case you want a DVR. We went through file manager, navigation. Music pulls up their crappy little Bluetooth music player that I don't use, I don't like. Bluetooth, again, it pulls up their version of being able to take and receive phone calls from the unit itself. I prefer to use the Sync 2 unit. And then Bluetooth music is, again, basically this. Now, again, what you could do is you could put files on a USB and play them that way. So let's get back here. But the one thing that you probably do want to make sure is that your phone is connected not only to your Sync 2 unit, but to this is a different Bluetooth device. I don't know what the name of it is. I've renamed mine Tesla just so I know what it is. But you want to make sure that your phone is attached to both of those. Movie, you can actually play a movie on here, and there we go. It's pulling up something off of my dash camera at this point. And I'm going to go through this a little more when we go into the third video about video and streaming and some of the video in general. All right, so I think we've done everything here. So I am going to take one more pause. Now I'm still trying to run through what setup is going to work best for me, and more importantly, my wife, to ask her to get into the vehicle and touch 3 or 4 buttons before she can listen to music or get navigation is probably not going to work. She just wants something. She wants to start up the car, play the music she wants to play, if she needs to navigate someplace. So it's got to be easy. And I've been familiar with Android devices since they've been out. I've always had an Android phone. I got probably 4 Android tablets in the house. By no means am I an expert, but I know my way around. So in my pursuit of trying to make this easier for everyone in the household, I've played around with a couple things. So we are a household that is just, we've got so many Amazon Echo devices in our house. I purchased one. I was one of the original betas that when they offered the unit. I've had it. I still have the original Amazon Echo device that came out. So when they came out with Echo Auto, I was really intrigued about it. And here's the unit right here. And I actually got the Echo Auto before I got this installed. And, you know, I also have a very eclectic taste in music. You know, I'm a child of the 60s and 70s and grew up on rock and roll. I love country. I'll listen to just about anything. And even though Sirius provides that for me, I don't like everything on what they do. And they actually have a pretty short rotation. And at a moment's notice, I may want to listen to something that's not on that channel or not on Spotify, etc. So we also are a subscriber to Amazon Music, so that's available to me, their whole library. So right now what I've got is I've got this set on my tied to my Galaxy phone via Bluetooth. And if I want to listen to any song, let's pick one. Alexa, play The Piano Man. Turn up the volume.
Piano Man by Billy Joel on Amazon Music.
Alexa, play Frank Sinatra.
Shuffling songs by Frank Sinatra on Amazon Music.
So there we go. I can do just about anything music-wise, listen to it, and that works great. Then if I want to navigate someplace, I pull up Waze. I have the music in the background. In other words, I can still talk to Alexa. Play Willie Nelson.
Shuffling songs by Willie Nelson on Amazon Music.
And I don't have that quirky feature where it changes my sync to sources when I do it this way. I can go back into console, and there we go. And another thing, and I'm going to get into this when I get into the audio streaming. I don't know if you can see this, but I'm going to hit the next button. and it is taking me to the next song. I can do that throughout my streaming devices, and I've heard some people that have the. And again, this is a Sony unit. It may not work on the B&O unit, but I have never had a problem with it. So that's. I just went back to the last song as well. So that's one setup that I like and my wife can understand. But that depends on a couple things. Is when she gets into her car or in this vehicle, whether her iPhone connects, and then she has to choose the Bluetooth setting. Not a big deal, but it is a button push for her to be able to do that.